All right, everybody. Cinephile Mike is here, and it is day 33 of Oscar Rewind, my series of video commentary that reflects the work of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. I dig deep into those IMDb profiles, and my hope is that you will discover a new, older favorite or revisit something you maybe haven't seen in a while. As always, I'll be discussing the recent Oscar connection, awards history for the film, the box office information, the critical response, and as always, these reviews are spoiler-free. Now, before we jump in, make sure you click that subscribe button because you definitely want to be part of all the cinematic goodness coming to you. It's double rewind for the rest of the summer. We are in a new category starting today. We have looked at the producers, we have looked at the performers, we have looked at the directors, and now we are looking at the writers. Yes. Although July is almost over with double rewinds, you're getting the next batch. So today and the next 8 videos coming are looking at writers who won or were nominated this season for that Oscar. And kicking off, I am looking at Studio Canals' spy thriller, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Released domestically in the winter of 2011, the film was written by Bridget O'Connor and Breeder Straughan from the novel of the same name by John le Carré, and directed by Tomas Alfredson. Now, by the end of the film's run in early 2012, it picked up a total of $24,149,393 domestically, with an additional $57,365,976 internationally, for a worldwide total of $81,515,369. Critically, the film was received fairly well by critics, with a rating of 84% coming from 230 reviews, and while fresh on the popcorn meter, it was lower at 65%, culled from over 50,000 audience reviews. Now, award season-wise, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy ended its run with 3 Oscar nominations. Best Actor for the film's lead, Gary Oldman, Best Original Score for Alberto Iglesias, and Best Adapted Screenplay for O'Connor and Straughan. Now, the writing pair won the BAFTA for Best Adapted Screenplay, as well as a win for Best British Film. It had 9 other BAFTA nods for Best Film, Best Director, Best Music, Best Lead Actor for Gary Oldman, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, and Best Sound. Interestingly, these nods were a lot of the people that were nominated for these were a lot of future Oscar winners to come in a few years. And aside from these 2, the film had almost 100 other nominations at various awards festivals and amongst critic circles throughout its season. So, we're here because of the writer, so we're talking about co-writer Peter Straughan, who received his first Oscar nomination for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and would take another 13 years before he entered the conversation again, which he did, and for his second nomination this year, he won the Best Adapted Screenplay for the political thriller Conclave. Now, given that Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy falls in that same range, we're right in his wheelhouse. He has a few other thrillers under his belt, too, that are pretty interesting. He also wrote 2015's Our Brand is Crisis with Sandra Bullock, Billy Bob Thornton, and 2010's The Debt with Helen Mirren and Jessica Chastain. So, let's talk about this. Before I get in too deep, those familiar with the novelist, John le Carré loves to build a complex thriller, and a slow-burning one at that. So that's, where we're coming from here. So now we're going to buckle in. Time-wise, with this one, we are in the midst of the Cold War in the 1970s. The Circus, which is the code name for the British intelligence, their head, named Control, played by John Hurt, is seen at the start sending field agent Jim Prideaux, played by Mark Strong, to Budapest to meet with a potential defector and informant who claims to have information regarding a mole located within Circus, who was sent there by key Soviet spy Karla, who, for joy of discovery, I will keep that actor out. Once there is an assassination, and Prideaux is believed dead before he can, discover this respective information. Believing this is another failed mission, and just with the way a state of things, Control is forced to retire. And with him is his first in command, George Smiley, played by Gary Oldman. Shortly after, Control dies, and George enjoys, as best as he can, his retirement, though there is something else irking him, aligned with his wife Anne, played by Katrina Vasilieva. Then back at control, we have at the circus, apologies, Agent Percy Alaline, played by Toby Jones, is now named the new control, and he appoints Bill Hayden, played by Colin Firth, to be his deputy, and also promotes and keeps by his side his other two key supporters, Roy Bland, played by Kieran Hines, and Toby Esterhaas, played by David Denick. Alaline's key move is protecting an informant known only as Operation Witchcraft, a high-level Soviet source that he believes can get British intelligence back in the good graces of the American government, where there's been some tension lately in how things are going in this world. Now, however, after a brief time, Field Agent Ricky Tarr, played by Tom Hardy, I know, a lot of people here, he has been in hiding due to other circumstances with a mission, and he reaches out to the circus claiming that he has information related to this mole as well. Seeing as how this could be even more complicated now, Permanent Secretary of the Circus Oliver Lakin, played by Simon McBurney, having received this call from Tarr, realizes, you know what, something is amiss and I need to get to the bottom of this, and who better to investigate than someone who's on the outside? So who does he go to? Smiley. To do this, Smiley requests a safe house and help in the form of retired Inspector Mendel, played by Roger Lloyd Pack, and current agent Peter Gillam, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who can serve as a go-between for Smiley and the circus. From here, Smiley begins his investigation, and all will out, though the journey will not be easy or bloodless. All right, very complicated, and thank you for staying me with that if you stayed through it all. Look, I will be honest, this was one of those layered British spy films that I went back and watched a couple of times to really make sure I could pick up all those plot threads. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You can get the general idea one time through, but to really pick up some of the slight subtleties, a rewatch is good. Now, first thing I want to talk about, you heard those names I dropped. What a cast that made this film all the more fascinating to watch. My biggest complaint is that the plot is so deeply woven, and we're supposed to be paying attention to some characters and not others, that some of these great actors don't really have the chance to shine and are left more in the background. However, for want of spoilers, I won't name all who's shown because I don't want to spoil the mystery. I want you to really relive that. But I can talk about Oldman. Look, he's constantly a powerhouse. His interpretation of George Smiley, him being the 8th actor now to portray this constant le Carré character, is quite masterful. He doesn't always say a lot, and when he does, you listen. He portrays a character who demands respect and gets it, even from those who fired his character early on. And we see that he is torn, just kind of being collateral damage with everything, but he still tries to do his part despite the complications in his personal life, which also end up getting twisted into this conspiracy. And the other key standout, I will just quickly say, is Tom Hardy. And mainly because usually we know Hardy for the more, tough and louder roles that he's played, or the more action-packed ones. But here, as the Agent Ricky Tarr, he underplays. It's more dialogue-based, and, as he tries to get out of this web, it's a very subdued performance, so it's very impactful. Straughan has a lot of fun with the script, employing a non-linear approach as we unfold each layer of this story. And unfortunately, without a specific reference to these, though, sometimes the timeline gets a little mulled. We jump a little bit back and forth too much. So that's a little bit of why it gets the rating that it does. Looking at the film's other nod I want to talk about, Iglesias' score is really the perfect complement to this film. He really captures the essence of spy thrillers that were prominent in the 60s and 70s. It's snappy but doesn't distract from the action or the story we're watching, which is good because you really need to pay attention to what's happening. Could the film have maybe been 15 minutes shorter? Sure, it runs a little over 2 hours, about 2 hours and 10, 2:15. And look, that tightening up could have happened with some of the overall narrative, but it didn't disappoint me with what I was watching. Given the depth of le Carré's stories, I would love to see Oldman go back to it and adapt Smiley's People, the sequel to this one, and Straughan should adapt it, because as I said, spy stories are in his wheelhouse, and this reunion would definitely be an enjoyable one. And here's a fun fact for my Star Wars fans out there. Alec Guinness starred in the 2 miniseries of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and Smiley's People in 1979 and 1982. So if you have seen this film and you like it, or you're curious to see a more expanded version, there is more for you to see. So in that, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is a solid 4-star film, amazing performances. This is one, if you like a slow burn thriller, this is going to be for you. If you want a fast-paced action spy thriller, this ain't for you. Now, if you'd like to watch it, as of this recording and posting, your only options are a digital rental or purchase. There's no streaming information available right now. If you would like to catch the Alec Guinness miniseries, both of them are available on YouTube. All right, so there you have it. We got a strong start for our writer set. As always, if you like what you heard here, please click that subscribe button, like and share the video, and spread the word. You can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd. Find lots of great additional content on my website, cinephilemike.com. All right, happy watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.